principle. If you don't get it all today, stick in there. You know how long I've been working for in Republican politics? 16 years. I'm now the parliamentarian for HCRP. I wasn't when I started anywhere near that. But now I can talk to people. I can be influential. I didn't take my ball and go home the first time. I'm going to say it now. Jared Woodfield ticked me off. And there was a severe pattern of that Jared Woodfield ticking me off. Trust me. I didn't go home. I stayed. It took 6 years of effort to install Paul Simpson in that office instead. And there were 6 hard years. But now, I'm in a much better position than I was. Even 6 years ago, even 16 years ago. You cannot divide if you're going to win. They have the ability to reach far more people. Any of us who stay out and just walk away, we're not happy, we're getting discouraged, whatever, we're going to lose. And not only are you going to lose on your principles, but the other guys are going to make it harder for you to stand up for your principles. Can anybody say IRS harassment?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So you have to do the math. Elections are 50% plus 1. We have to win with that many people. Now, it looks really good coming out of 2014, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But guess what? Low turnout elections are not indicative of high turnout elections. So keep that in mind. You have to think strategically. And that's, maybe I'm giving up something now to get something later. Just, instead of reacting and emoting your politics, take a step back and think. Most of the people that I know in this room, and I know most of you, are sober, thoughtful people who don't emote their politics. But you know the people I'm talking about, who if you say something, oh, the hands go up, and they go back, and they just emote. That makes them look less than thoughtful. So asking questions and being more pensive and thinking about things is strategic. If you do not win, again, you do not govern. And if you have trouble, and this is the one hurdle I want people to get over, if you have trouble thinking about, I cannot vote for that guy, he's so bad, oh my gosh, somebody somehow put Jeb Bush on my ticket. Okay?
Oh, don't say that.
I know. Is that guy going to let me in the door more often than the other guy on the other side of the ticket? If I have a problem with him, is he going to be more likely to listen to me, or is the opposition going to be more likely to listen to me? I'm sorry that politics is binary right now, but it is. Maybe we can get coalition governments in the future. This is the world as it is. Go back to Alinsky. So that's resolution number 1. Winning is a principle. Resolution number 2. Remember who the real enemy is. Frequently we fight amongst ourselves over stuff that's never going to happen because we're never going to get in control. We're never going to come to power because the other guys have us surrounded. We have to remember to point the guns in the right direction. There are people on our side who need discipline. There are people on our side who need good talking to. Do not mistake me. I am absolutely about that. Aha! There are people in this room who know how much I'm about that. Sorry. But I want you to remember overall where the threat is. Who are the people that are out for your wallet, your children, your money, and your lives? Thank you. I forgot all about that. Remember who the real enemy is. And there's a different thing about the left. Here is the institutional left, the media, Hollywood, professors, those guys who are institutionally pushing. They are part of the complex, the liberal industrial complex. And then there are people who are left-washed. You know people who are left-washed. It is very unlikely you know people in your life who are institutionally left. And this is why that's important. If I have an issue on spying, NSA, I think I can move people that have been left-washed to support that issue. Are they going to listen to me on anything else? Maybe not. But I can get that issue, can't I? So I'm not necessarily thinking I've got to win them for everything I'm doing. I'm thinking, heck yeah, it's good to get rid of the NSA and their abusive policies, so I'm going to go co-opt that part of their team that agrees with me. And I'm going to push that. Once they're talking to me on the NSA, look what else I might have the opportunity to talk to them about. How about the overregulation of business in Texas? I was messaging back and forth with Representative Schofield about some of the changes they want to make about Texas laws. There was a case recently where a woman wanted to braid hair, not cut, not even mess with any of that, but they were going to make her go to cosmetology school and pay thousands of dollars in order to get a certificate for something she would not even be doing.
Right.
For braiding, and there's eyebrow threading as well now. Mike and some of the other legislators are working on that. That was a Governor Perry initiative, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Now
and Governor Abbott has put out a paper about that as well. I even wrote about that. I wrote a column about that. I can get people who are not Republican behind that, can't I? And you know how I can sell it to them? Doesn't that have a disproportionately damaging effect on the poor? Think about that. People who need to have the licensure and go through all those steps can't start at the beginning and do jobs like that and be entrepreneurs and make their own way. They have to get in line and take courses and ask permission. That's debilitating and demoralizing to people who could be pulling themselves up on their own, and government just gets in the way. Now, I can pull a lot of people from the left on that issue, can't I? I sure can. What about feeding ordinances where they try to limit where and who can feed the homeless and what kind of certifications you have to do that, so that churches can't go down and offer a day where they can make sandwiches for the poor? Are you kidding me? The people in the middle who are left-washed, they will go for that if we repeal stuff like that. So if you think of it strictly as my team winning all or nothing, you're missing opportunities to go after issues that the people in the middle don't think we care about, but we do. So remember who the real enemy is. You might fight tooth and nail with the guys in the institutional left. And I'm talking about Brian Williams, I'm talking about those guys in the media, Sally Cohn, those ridiculous people who push these lies. But your neighbor, the guy on the Facebook page with you, is that really your enemy, or is that somebody who's just been in that left-wash crap for too many years? Think about that before you attack people in those conversations or call them names. Think about who they really are. Are they really the institutional left? Then kick them in the personal space, okay? Figuratively, not literally. This is recorded. I can't say that literally. But remember, there are a lot of people who just are left-washed. I want you to remember that term and use it. Left-washed. Because we can't get into those places, academia, media, Hollywood, but they have been pushing those messages. They're on 24/7, 365, and we have whatever time we have with them. So, third resolution, be careful who you write off. This is related to the last one. I may not see eye to eye with Carl on a lot of issues, but where I meet him, I'm going to work with him. Doesn't mean I have to work with him tomorrow. Doesn't mean I worked with him yesterday. But where I meet with him on those issues, he is my ally and my friend, and I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to try not to do any damage to the relationship in the meantime when I think he's acting a fool. Honestly. I'm going to try to just gently convince him. I'm not going to berate him and say, he's a rhino! Okay? I hate that term. I'm just telling you straight up. Be careful who you alienate, because we have issue allies. I've already demonstrated that. We have principle allies, people who agree in principles with us. We get into this litmus test trap where if you don't agree with me on this, my most important issue, you are of no use to me. And we need to convince people not to do that. Fourth resolution, calling people stupid didn't really work for Gruber, did it? Anybody remember that story? It was just a couple months ago. Jonathan Gruber talking about the stupidity of the American people. What did the American people react when they heard that? They were livid. That was a great point, by the way, to use with people that were left-washed if you talked about Obamacare. They thought you were stupid. Isn't that horrible? It doesn't work for us either. We talk all the time about low information voters. I want you to throw that term away. What happens if you happen to find one of them as a sports fan? Are they low information sports fans? No. They don't care about what you care about. Why don't they care about what you care about? Because you haven't made them care about it yet. You haven't given them the story to care about it yet. So when we're talking those stats and facts and figures we talked about before, you have to go back to personalize it for them. Give them a picture they will never get out of their head. That is how you convert a low information voters. You find out what moves them and you make them care by pulling them in with those stories. Tug on their hearts. If they think about things in terms of, animals or environment or whatever, find the angle. But don't ever call them stupid again just because they don't know what you know. I tell you, the Harvard grads know a lot of things I don't know. I don't think I'm stupid though. So, and Gruber, if I'm not mistaken, was Harvard grad, was he not? I think Gruber was Harvard and all that Ivy League crap. So, we need to help people understand. We need to help them to care. Again, it's not that they disagree with us. They don't know they are us yet. So you can't influence them if you don't go where they are either. I remember so many years struggles with outreach committee in Harris County Republican Party because people didn't want to go to voters they didn't think would vote for them. Okay, well, if you don't go ask, you're not going to get. And we accept that principle in business. Calling, cold calls, people making sales calls. If you don't ask for the sale, you're not going to get it. But we don't do that in politics. So we need to start Your mama may have told you that it was impolite to talk about politics or religion or sex around other people. I don't want to hear you talking about sex, but politics and religion, feel free, please. There's enough talking about sex on television. You don't need any more of that. And so the last resolution I want you to think about. Spend your rants wisely. Here's why. If somebody is telling me all day long that it's hopeless and that it's horrible out there and the government is just out of control and I'll never be able to rein it in, what is my response going to be if I'm not political? One of two things. Run or ignore it. Okay? When we start with the sky is falling, people tune us out. Because life looks pretty good here in Katy, doesn't it? Anybody that's out here unemployed? I mean, I quit my job. I did not unemployed by accident. I quit. Anybody, know people that have been long-term chronically unemployed out here? There's not many of them. It's a bedroom community. It is a prosperous community. People don't feel the pain. That's another reason why I think it's so hard to move Katy ISD, by the way. People don't feel the pain. So if you start talking about all the pain they're feeling, they're looking at you like you're speaking another language, because you are. So think about that. Don't breed hopelessness, not only in those people, but among us. Mm-hmm. I used to subscribe to a blog that would tell me every day what was wrong with the world. You know how that made me feel eventually? Oh my God, what can I do? How can I fix that? I'm done. I don't need to walk away, and I need everybody else not to walk away. I need everybody else to go out and make 25 more of them so that we'll win these things. But if we just rant and we don't go the next step and try to figure out what to do, then we breed hopelessness. And that is fatal to our movement. Fatal, absolutely. So let's prioritize. Is Benghazi more important than Glozell and the green lipstick and the YouTube interview with the Fruit Loop bathtub?
Yeah.
You think Benghazi is more important?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what the left did when they were talking about the cereal bathtub business? They talked to 9 million new people. The president talked to 9 million new people who maybe weren't political, but who got that channel because they like her with the green lipstick. And she is funny, by the way. That was a crazy video that she did, but she was funny. And she asked some serious questions that were harder than some that the mainstream media would ask. But what did people talk about? Fruit Loops. Absolutely. Is that a missed opportunity for us? I think so. That man played all of us. We got punked. We got trolled. Okay? Because the president went out and talked to a bunch of apolitical people and got his message out. Did we do anything remotely like that? No. All right. Do you think immigration is a more important thing than President Obama taking a picture with girls in a tiara? Is immigration more important? Where did I see most people spend their energy? On the tiara. I'm sorry, yes, you look ridiculous as a president, but it's also playing really well to the middle. Yes, I'm sorry that the office of president is no longer possessed by people who wear suits and respect it, but the world as it is thinks that's kind of cool. I'm sorry that they do, but that's where we are. Doesn't mean that we need to go and get Fruit Loop baths to reach people or wear tiaras on our candidates. But it means that we need to find out where the people who the president talks to and gets around us, you know, he went around the mainstream media too. Don't we need to be doing that? Especially as bad as they are? So let's not try to demonize our guys if they do something a little different. Let's support them on that. Always, when you hear someone ranting, always look for the action item. If someone is telling you how bad and doesn't tell you what to do about it, or give you a place to do something about it with, leave them alone. Honestly, if I'm telling you how horrible things are and I have no solution, again, we do this in business all the time. We expect solutions out of people who bring problems. We have to talk about solutions. If somebody's just going to tell me how bad it is and they don't give me a way to fix it, it breeds the hopelessness I talked about. We can't afford it. So it's time to turn the volume down on the people who just have a lot of words and no action and no solution. And turn the volume up on people who are looking for solutions, who are thinkers and planners and strategic about it. And last, check your sources. There was a article today that I got a hold of about Forbes and about them taking away wood-burning stoves from people, new regulations that meant they have to get new stoves. People were panicked. Forbes said they would have to rip their old stoves out and put them in. Guess what? Forbes was wrong. Do you think you can trust Forbes? Yes, you do. But Forbes got it wrong. And it was only by checking it later that we found out that wasn't a thing. Because would you believe that of the EPA?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you would. It sounds like it's right, but what happens when you're exposed to not having the right information? What do people do when they look at you? Oh, you gave me sketchy information. I can't trust anything you say. Every time you post something, every time you send something out, double check that. I'm going to tell you right here and right now, I would not put it past this administration to punk us that way either. To put out fake stuff, to float fake regulations, and then produce the real ones, which are nothing like that, having got us all worked up and make us look stupid. We've got to be smarter than that. So, one of the ways to pull together is not to have to work together all the time on everything, but to pull together on the issues that we agree with. If I agree with Cindy on how to do things at the school board, I'll jump behind her on that. If I agree with Ed on how to do things, I'll jump behind Ed. I want us to think not in terms of you are on this side of the rope with me or you are on the other side of the rope with me from our party. From our movement, I should say. It's not a party necessarily. We're bigger than a party. I want people remember who is on the other side of the road. Now maybe my guy's only pulling with one hand on this side. Maybe he's taking a break over in the grass. He's still on my team. I'm going to use him where I can. So I want us to focus that way. Part of it is because it's so difficult to know what conservative is. Less government. Limited government. Personal liberty. Limited government spending. I can't read that, my eyes are bad. Less government, following the Constitution. Less government, individual. Where is all the abortion, the gay marriage stuff in here? Needing less from taxes. Spending less. Moral, fiscal, value responsible. Minimum government, maximum freedom.
Less government, stand for smaller government, less taxes, less government, more local control, less government, fiscally responsible, family oriented, it's all less government, less government.
There's nothing in there about abortion. I'm not saying I'm a fan of it. I'm saying that that's not what's on your mind when I'm saying conservative. But why do we insist that people who run for office, maybe in New Jersey, be pro-life when maybe New Jersey isn't? Think about that. We're maybe putting Texas standards, some of us, maybe not in this room, but maybe we're putting Texas standards on people in the Northeast. I will tell you, a friend of mine tells me who lives in Jersey, that Chris Christie's the absolute best you can get right now is GOP in New Jersey, and it's a foothold. It's not the whole end of the game. It is the beginning of the game there. And he's become the chair of his county Young Republicans, and this year is becoming invited to stuff. He's actually going to work as communications director on their county campaign coming up. That's pretty quick. And this guy's more conservative than Chris Christie by far, but he's very young. He's getting in there really, really early. But he's telling me that they haven't done the groundwork yet. Finally, we've talked about what conservatism is and how we all feel about that. We have very many different opinions on all these other things. But honestly, we do have so much in common. But we're also very much talking to just ourselves. We need to be outside of our bubbles. If we want the world to be what we want it to be, the first place we have to start is moving the culture, moving the people. And that means if we build enough support at the bottom from the people for limited government and fiscal responsibility, based on one case at a time, one story at a time that we tell, we build that, the popular support, we can get anything passed we want once we've got the people. So just try not to think of them as enemies anymore. They are your new mission field, your political mission. So hopefully you've thought about branding, you've thought about some ways that we could be more effective, and you won't want to murder me walking out of the parking lot when we're done, because I didn't shock you horribly. I think, just a little aside, and then I swear I'm done. I think we have so much to look forward to in 2016. It is going to be a great season if we don't shoot ourselves in the foot. Their Democrat bench, people, is shallow, shallow, shallow. The Republican bench is deep and wide. Those guys may not be our first choices, the best fighters that are going to be out there. Let's go get enough people to agree with us so that we can get the best fighters. Who would have won the poll in here? Ted Cruz. If you want Ted Cruz type president, what other people you got to convince? 49 other states, right? One person at a time. Do you think it's possible? I do. I do. Wouldn't that be fun to try? Hopefully you got some out of that. If you have any questions, thepartyofchoice.com is the site that gives most of the messaging. They have a great blog there, Andy and Corey Pate. Mine is freeradicalnetwork.com, and our show on Tuesday nights is therefineryshow.com. Yes. Sorry.
I've kind of done a one-person deal with Katy because I can't get anybody together. Gone out for the media, doing things nationwide. some reason, and you come up and I know I'm one of the loud ones, everybody here knows that, but it's a serious issue, and to not get walked out by the police anymore, I started screaming. How do you go about as a community to start, because we're starting to hear from parents of how bad it is in Katy ISD, but everybody's chicken. They're scared to death. They don't want to be like me, and I don't want to be like me. How do we go and talk to people who they think they're my enemy and aren't, to say, hey, we really need to use each other to meet, to protect our kids, because they're in danger right now.
You know, I've been thinking about this for actually a few years.
Yeah.
There's so many stories and things that we don't know that happen, and people get confused. There needs to be, and I'm not the one who started, I got lots on my plate, and it's awful of me to say, you need to blank. That's evil, and I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to say this.
Make a comment, make a suggestion.
Building a community, whether it's on Facebook or some online community, where you can begin to build a web base and an email database out of that, that does not only focus on the negative,
Right.
would be huge.
We have
If
that.
there was the Katy community, you know, caring about Katy. Fort Bend does this. They have Fort Bend County Concerns, Fort Bend School Concerns. They have a group that works like that, and they keep people together. But if it becomes a place where you only air your grievances, people are tuning it out. So good stories, good news, positive things, teacher profiles, people that you love, folks who've done a great job, teams that have done some amazing stuff. Feature all that, then you slip in some of the other stuff. You might even start an anonymous account where people can tell their story as anonymized as possible, and then blog about that. Start a place, there's free blogs all over the place. If you approach it from the point of, we are all in this community together, and I may care about things you don't care about, but these things are important, I think that comes off better than, and for branding reasons, by the way. Anybody remember the watchdog group that was out here that used to, what was it called? I can't
The
remember.
watchdog.
Katy Watchdogs, okay. Some of the best research you would find, some of the best information, absolutely horrible delivery. And I love those people, I do. They are good friends, but the delivery was so bad, and it looked so angry, and it looked so oppositional. They got pigeonholed and put off in the kook corner. Now, were they kooks? No. What happened to them? They got branded. Can't let that happen. You have to be smarter than the other guys. Anybody remember the last bond fight where we only lost by 1,700 votes trying to defeat that one? There were signs all over the place that said, because they put the ballot for and against, for the bond, against the bond. They had big signs out there that said for, right? What did I do? I'm famous for this, y'all. I went and made signs that said what, and put that in front of the sign, and then a question mark, and put that after the sign, so everywhere you could find their signs, it said what for. Because they couldn't tell us. And then for, I put the exact amount of the bond on about 6 signs down the freeway here. So you could see how many zeros there were, okay? That was a humorous way to get people's attention. What for? Do you notice they never put the ballot initiative there on the bond, yes, or for or against anymore? I changed that. One person made them stop doing it, and it got written up in the media because they got embarrassed. We were so close to winning that. If we'd had money behind us, we could have won that. But can't always just be against either. So finding some good things to point out, to slip the bad things in between, sandwich them in, I think that's a stronger strategy.
Just Katy ISD, where's the good?
Oh, I am totally with you. But there is some. There are people who are proud for some reason of this district, or we wouldn't have so many people trying to be here. Find those stories too. They're out there. Somebody has a good teacher story. Teacher did something great. Somebody had, and especially the teachers, because who was with us on that last fight? The teachers, they were. Sorry I run y'all on so long, but I'll be around if you have questions later.
I think that was great.
So,
We,
yeah.
Teacher, go to Felicia Craven's, the refinery,